Elaine Kub is our corn and soybean market analyst this week. The U.S. Department of Agriculture finalized its totals for the 2016 harvest Thursday. It believes U.S. growers produced 15.1 billion bushels of corn and 4.3 billion bushels of soybeans. Both numbers are down 1% from November's estimates. Among the other highlights in Thursday's reports, American acres planted to winter wheat in 2017 are expected to be the second lowest on record and 10% below 2016. In its foreign projections, the agency increased Brazil's soybean output from 102 million metric tons to 104, an increase of about 73.5 million bushels. We talked with Elaine shortly after the release and started by asking for her thoughts on Thursday's data.
Well, the market is responding bullishly, so my response is fantastic. Soybeans are up 15 cents, and it wasn't just sort of an initial burst and then it faded off. They held that for quite a while here. So I think the traders are really looking at this as a bullish report, and I think they should. I mean, the USDA has made a lot of bullish cuts to the production numbers from 2016 and a few bullish little increases in the demand numbers. And they've accomplished this, accomplishment of bringing down the ending stocks, and they did it all without even changing the export projections, which I think the market has been waiting to see and will still wait to see in future WASDE reports. So all across the board here, we're looking at this as a bullish report day, especially for soybeans. Corn are not following quite as well, and wheat had, not such bullish news. Poor wheat.
We're talking just after noon on Thursday. Do you want to go further into why people maybe expected an increase in those export numbers, but yet we didn't get one?
Yeah, so the corn, the actual physical progress of corn being shipped out of this country is 78% higher this year than it was last year at this time. And yet, like I mentioned, the USDA made no changes to that projection yet. But all of the usage categories are really favorable for the corn market. And I don't think that I think that we've kind of found a price level, and we haven't been able to break through that 360 level very convincingly. So I think the market has responded to this slightly tighter ending stocks projection. It's still 16% stocks to use ratio. We still have very comfortable supplies of corn in the country. The grain stocks report showed that we have more corn, more grain all around the United States. And yet the demand remains strong. The September to November disappearance of this quarterly grain stocks report showed 4.5 billion bushels of corn being used up. So that's good. That's promising.
How would you describe the USDA's increase for soybean output in Brazil?
That was kind of surprising and kind of alarming, because once these reports are done, these are futures markets, and we go back to thinking of what's going to happen in the future, which means looking at weather reports, specifically in South America. And there's some, excess rain in northern Argentina is the only really problematic weather thing that we can point to in South America right now. So to see an increase in the projection for soybean production in Brazil is perhaps not surprising. USDA increased it to 104 million metric tons, but that's almost a 2% increase. It was very sudden and very large, but perhaps not unjustified, considering that they don't have major weather problems. And we, even here in the United States, have demonstrated that excess rain isn't necessarily something that challenges soybeans, and soybeans, have done very, very well yielding year over year.
What do you think the implications are for wheat acres being near record low to other crops here in this country?
Yeah, particularly in Nebraska. The USDA in their winter wheat seedings report here on Thursday said that the Nebraska winter wheat acres was 1.2 million acres, which is not very much. Nationwide, there's 4 million fewer winter wheat acres seeded in 2016 than there were in 2015, which means we have 4 million acres that has got to go somewhere in 2017, and it's probably going to be favored towards soybeans, especially if the soybean market can keep up this momentum that perhaps got sparked here today.
Describe where basis is at right now and how much help farmers might need, even though futures prices are rising.
Well, Jeff, I can tell you locally, my soybean basis is more than $1 under. It's really disappointing. And I haven't seen a lot of movement really in the entire Midwest. Processor level basis has not been hot, has not been strong. And it doesn't really have to do anything right now. When you look at the Gulf, at the shipping points, the U.S. basis is competitive against Brazil's exporting price by 15 cents, even all the way through into April, into the springtime. So basis doesn't really have to move anywhere to be competitive, and I think to get the farmer movement going or the farmer sales going, the market is looking more at the futures than the basis.
Right, Elaine, so that would mean what for possible cash sales opportunities?
I have been holding on to some beans that I have in storage because I think, especially when you look at the outside markets, the palm oil market, for instance, has continued to trade at these 5-year highs. There's reasons to continue to feel bullish about soybeans. Like I mentioned, the USDA has not upped their export projections yet. There's still room for bullish things to be done, tweaks to be made to the balance sheet for soybeans, I think.